Welcome. So this will be my 8th Baldur's Gate sealed. Let's get on with it. Alright. Still doing alright for gems. Okay, we have Baldur's Gate. It's not going to be that amazing because we're maybe only going to get 2 or 3 gates, so still, it's there is a gate stack which uses Baldur's Gate, which is quite interesting in historic with the Gate's End card, which I might. I think it's a mythic rare Gate's End. I might make a couple of them and put the deck together. So could be quite easy to put together because a lot of the deck is just uncommons. Right, Lae'zel's Acrobatics. I've had this before. So if you roll above 10, it doesn't just exile all your non-token creatures. They exile, they come back, and they exile again. So and then come back at the end of the turn. So this is fantastic with come into play effects. It will actually, half the time, it will trigger them twice instead of once. We have Lukamina Moondruid, and I had this in the previous draft. So it gets you it seeks a land card, a basic land. So you'll get a random land. So it's not mana fixing usually. It could fix your mana, but still it's handy. It gets you an extra land. And when you've got 6 land, you can specialize it into various forms. And the very, very cool thing, when that form dies, it unspecializes. So you get, and Lukamina returns to the battlefield tapped. So she's if you can get her to specialize, she becomes a very persistent creature. Of course, every specialization, you are having to discard a card. So it's not free, but potentially you're turning your spare late game land drops into specializations for Lukamina. I reckon the flying lifelink version, the Hawk form, looks very strong. The other one's the blue one, can tap down a creature for a couple of turns. The black one has to be blocked and it has Death Touch. But I find there's lots of blockers in this set. Right, sorry, excuse me, I've still got my cough. It's on the mend though. Right, I was going to go through these. The wolf form makes a 2/2 wolf creature token, so that's pretty cool if you need blockers. And it has menace as well. And the bear form gives everything trample, so that's and a buff. So that's quite useful, quite nice form of evasion as well. Yeah, so really good card. Definitely would like to play it. We've got Cardam, Patron of Flame. So I've had this before as well. I don't think I actually played it last time. But yeah, 4/3 haster for 4. It gets a flame counter every time it attacks. And you get a card with mana value equal to the number of flame counters. So you might not be playing very many 1-drops. So you might not get a 1-drop on your first attack. That's sort of something that occurs to me. But yeah, if it gets to attack a second turn, you'll get a 2-drop. You're probably playing quite a few 2-drops. You exile the card face down, so you don't get the card right away. You only get the cards when Cardam dies. And you get those cards until the end step of your next turn. So potentially some big card advantage. Right, I haven't seen this one. Mazzy, True Sword Paladin, white, green, red, and 1. Halfling Knight for so 4 mana for a 3/4, which is okay. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/0 and gains trample till end of turn. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. Okay. This works really well with auras, so if you don't get any auras, this isn't worth playing, basically. But it reminds me of Feather the Redeemed, which had a similar kind of effect, but with any spells you cast on your targeting your own creatures. So, gives you really good aura value. We'll see if we get any auras. I can't remember there being any crucial auras in this. Nearer Wild Mage, 4 blue and red. Human Elf Shaman, for which is a 2/7, which is a very interesting stat line. I don't think I've seen a 2/7 before. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it on the bottom of its owner's library. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. This ability triggers once per turn. So I guess if you've got a cheap spell that you don't particularly need, you cast that in order to hopefully get a more expensive, more useful spell from your deck. Sounds like fun to me. Yeah. Could be good. Right. So we'll do our usual, which is we'll sift through the cards and we'll find any removal, any card advantage, and I think mana fixing is quite important as well, cheap mana fixing. Right, that's removal, so we get that. That's card advantage. And also evasion is very important. We've actually got 3 Rasaads. Yep, so, excuse me. Yeah, 3 Rasaads, so pretty cool, but he is a legendary, of course. You might not want to play all 3. You wouldn't want to draw, 2 of them in your opening hand. Blessed Hippogriff is really cool because of the adventure, 1 white mana gives indestructible. So this is that feels like a very easy way to get card advantage. This goes well with a Priest of Ancient Law. I mean, it doesn't have flash. It's not, unfortunately, instant speed, this ability, but it can give you another trigger on your come into play effect. Yeah, it works with Rasaad as well. I think think that's good, and that's got evasion. This would be good with any auras. I think, tell you what, I will include it just in case we have auras. Never quite sure whether to include the Ghast. I think maybe not. Don't know about Vampire Spawn. It's pretty good, sort of doing a 2-point drain life. And I usually exclude Eyes of the Beholder because it's a 6 mana removal spell. I think it's too expensive to include. Breath Weapon, that's a good one. Thrakus the Butcher as well. Could have a... I mean, that's evasion, isn't it, basically? Cheap card draw. I think that's quite good. Even if it's draw and discard, you can get the discarded cards back. Oh, 2 Meteor Golems. That's pretty sweet with our acrobatics. And our the guy who blinks things out. If I had to guess, I'd say we probably don't have any aura enchantments at all. Or even... No, you have no enchantments in this set, which is a shame. So that means we just cut Mazi Truesword, because, yeah, bad luck. No auras to work with. Okay, that's not a lot of cards. That's usually we have like over 70 cards, or about 70. We've only got 60 cards to choose from. Should be easier to make a deck. We've got fewer things to cut, I suppose. We've got like good cards we've left out. Like green looks quite strong. It's actually much of a muchness. White is actually the strongest colour here, which is good. Good to know. Breath Weapon's really good. So green-red would be 15 cards. We've got these 3... Maybe how many artifacts can we do? So I don't usually play Cloak of the Bat, even though it's evasion. But yeah, there's 5 artifacts we can play, I suppose. And this guy counts as a dragon. 15 adds up to 20 cards. You kind of need 23 cards for a deck, but there's other stuff we can definitely put in the deck. So I'd say green-red is playable. I'll have a look at where our removal is. We've got 2 in artifacts, which is quite cool. Right. So I think we're definitely playing white. So maybe we're not playing blue-red. We're probably just cutting near a Wild Mage, even though it's a pretty cool card. I think if we cut all the blue, we'll just see what it looks like. Allura's quite good, makes something unblockable every turn. That's what we're missing out on, I suppose. Have another look at blue. Is there anything we're really missing out on? Yeah, I don't think it's strong enough. So yeah, black does have Vampire Spawn, which is very playable. Grove Choice is quite good. If they sacrifice something cheap, you get a copy of it. So it's kind of like a quite a good version of Diabolic Edict. Guildsworn Prowler's definitely good, as is Deadly Dispute. Maybe it's not quite strong enough, black. And there aren't any really cool rare cards in black this time. See, we're already down to 45 cards. But we can bring in some cards that are going to be really good. Icewind Stalwart. The Unicorn's kind of good. I feel like Rally Maneuver's pretty good because it hits 2 creatures and it's 3 mana, which makes it kind of playable. But this is a cantrip. I think maybe we'll leave these out for the moment. I think, yeah, Breath Weapon is definitely for the Dragon deck. I think maybe we leave out red, to be honest. I've not actually tried white-green. That puts us on 43 cards. So yeah, Gnoll Hunter's pretty good. Herdgorger's pretty good. Dragonborn is pretty good. I don't know if you play 4 of these. You might play 1 of them. You don't want to have like a whole bunch of these in your opening hand because they're dependent on something else being in play or in the graveyard before they're any good. You could probably cut them because my deck is not a high power deck. Right, I think that's a start. I think I'll call that end of part 1, and we're well on the way to putting a deck together. See you in part 2.